All right, hi everyone. We are looking at the first section of Measures of Central Tendencies, Part 1. And the first section we're going to spend a little time talking about is the mean. Now, mean is something that you all should be very familiar with because it is one of the big ways that we decide what your grade is going to be at the end of each cycle. So specifically, mean, or what we know it as, is the average of a set of data. So how do we specifically find the average? For those who may not remember, we have to add all of the data up and then divide by how many data points there are. So let's use that formula and jump into example 1. So for a grading cycle, you make the grades of 75, 83, 96, and 89. What is the mean of your grades? So again, what is the mean? So we need to add all of these numbers up. We need the sum. Remember, sum is the answer to an addition. So the sum of all 4 of these numbers, 343. The second thing I need to know is the number of data values, or in this case, the number of grades. And in this case, in this example, we have 4. So now that we've added them up, we found the sum. The next step is to divide these two numbers. So we need to know what is 343 divided by the 4 grades we have. And we do get a value of 85.75. Now, depending on your situation, sometimes we need to round off the number, sometimes we can leave them as is. But we are specifically looking at grades. And just like all the numbers that were in this example, none of them have decimal points. We're going to round this off because grades come in whole numbers. So we're going to round this number off to the nearest whole number. So I need to focus on what happens after the 5 in the 85. And that all depends on the 7, because that 7 is bigger than a 5. That forces the number to round up. So in reality, your grade, your mean, the average, will round up to an 86. Now, I get a lot of questions during the year. What is the grade that I need to get in order to pass the class? That's very much like example 2. So looking at our second example here, you need at least an 80 average on your report card to get to go to the movies. And currently, you have a 73, a 67, a 91, and an 88. What must you get for that last grade in order to go to the movies, of course, once everything opens back up? So we need to do a similar situation. I need to add all of these numbers up. I need the sum. In this case, that's 319. I need to know how many grades total are there going to be. So number of grades. Now be very careful because we don't just have the 4 grades that are listed there. It actually says the question, what must you get for the last grade, meaning there's one more, in order to have the right average. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that I circled, but there's going to be a 5th one. So you've got to be careful, read the question slowly and carefully. So I'm going to use that to write out my equation. So all of that totaled to 319. So 319 plus my missing last grade divided by the 5 grades I'm going to have total needs to be at least an 80. So we'll set it equal to an 80 and we'll solve from there. Now, when we are solving this, we do have to be careful because of that divide that's happening. That 319 plus x is actually sitting in the numerator, making it one big group. So I cannot jump to subtracting 319 from both sides because it's in a grouping symbol. It's inside parentheses. When we solve, parentheses have to come last. I'm going to have to undo that divide by 5 first. And the only way to undo a divide by 5 is to do the opposite, a multiply by 5. So that way I eliminate it on the left. Now, we're not done. If I divide the left side, if I multiply the left side by 5, have to do the same to the right. All right, so now let's finish our equation. We already know that the times 5 and the divide by 5 cancel. So I have 319 plus x should now equals 80 times 5, or 400. Let's keep our solve going. We're almost done. Now we can subtract out the points we've used up so far. In this case, 319. And my missing grade is an 81. So you need to have at least an 81 in order to have a passing grade for a B to go to the movies. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about mean and finding the average. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions and stay tuned for the second section of our notes. Thanks, guys.